wonder if you can actually screw shit into the bottom. Hey guys, welcome back to Beyond Defeat, and in this episode we're going to look at the Saucony Xodus 10, the updates it has had from the ISO 3, and how this shoe fits and what it is actually used for. So if you are looking for that high mileage trail shoe, something that's off-road and very grippy, need something that's just got a good outsole, either if you're going uphill or downhill, plus it's just very plush underneath the whole foot, the Xodus 10 definitely ticks all those few boxes. If you were happy with those ISO 3s, these has changed quite a lot of the upper, but it does make for a much better shoe. So starting off with the outsole, this does have that new outsole. They used it in the PWRrun, very similar to that Mad River Trail as well. Multi-directional lugs, these are 5mm lugs, so when you're going downhill they grip very well, and especially when you're going uphill. So it doesn't matter what terrain you're going on, this just very good ground contact the whole way through the shoe, and you're going to get a very good grip going uphill or downhill. So with the outsole as well, there is the water drainage hole, so you've got 6 on that forefoot as well as snow spikes. So if you do want some decent grip as well as the power track that's running underneath your foot, you can add 6 snow spikes on that forefoot as well as 4 on your rear. So a very durable outsole, especially when you're just using it on trail. This isn't that great of a road shoe. If you are kind of looking at that all-terrain shoe, I'd probably switch it up a bit. This rubber just will wear out that slightly bit more on asphalt compared to the gravel, dirt, mud, all that, etc. And straight underneath that outsole is you got that rock plate. So before you hit that midsole, you do have that rock plate, so it doesn't matter kind of what uneven terrain you're going through, that rock plate's going to absorb it. You're just not going to get the harsh feels underneath your foot. That rock plate will absorb it, plus just with that outsole it is quite soft rubber, so that's going to absorb it along with it. So moving on to your midsole, this is probably a massive change. So everyone's been discontinued and they moved on to that PWRrun Plus. So the midsole itself is 25% lighter, and it's still using that thermoplastic bead, but it is just a bit softer underneath the foot. It's all that kind of bit more flexible, a bit lighter, and all that kind of good words from midsole. PWRrun Plus is not going to get affected by that heat or cold. So if you are in that snowy climate or even those different seasons, so you got hot summers, cold winters, this isn't going to break down over the life of this shoe. It's just going to keep that same consistency when it comes to the cushioning over the lifespan of the shoe. You'd probably be looking at, as far as the trails go, around that 800 to 1000 Ks on this if you are just using it for the trails. If you want that kind of all-terrain shoe, you'd probably cut it down to that kind of 600 Ks, just because that rubber will wear out a bit underneath the foot. But so far as that midsole goes, this is a very durable midsole. It's just going to be very cushioned, very plush over the life of the shoe. With the PWRrun Plus as well, if you do have quite rocky terrain, it just does absorb it very nicely, so you're not going to feel like you just get tilted over to that one side when you hit a harsh rock. This just will absorb it quite nicely and keep you quite stable. At the same time, using this for running, you'd easily be able to do those kind of 100 Ks, even 100 milers. With those 100 milers or 100 Ks, you'd probably want 2 of these and just swap them up in between, just because over that kind of duration of that run, you just need those 2 different shoes, just because it doesn't kind of matter what cushioning or what technology goes in the shoe. It just will help the feet as well as your shoes bounce back to the life. As far as the midsole goes, definitely one of the better cushioning systems in a midsole as far as trail shoes go. There isn't any kind of other brands that have incorporated that thermoplastic bead into a trail shoe as of yet. The Xodus is that just high cushion, high stack height. Pretty sure you're running with that 32mm to a 28mm, so it is running with that 4mm drop. So it is a high stack height, high cushioned, but just running with that low drop. So you still got full ground contact, your heel isn't too much higher than your forefoot, and it just, yeah, it's a good, well dialed in trail shoe. So this is a 10th iteration of the Xodus, and it is in the ISO 4, so they've got rid of the ISO fit and just gone back to your stock standard lacing, and they have changed the lacing up as well. So it's just kind of that semi-booty fit, so it's not that ISO 3 where it came up slightly bit higher on your shin as well as your heel, but yeah, you do have a slightly bit more room in there, as well as it is still attached the whole way through, but just gives you a slightly bit more room with that tongue and doesn't come up on your shin that high. Very breathable upper. It's got the double layered mesh, so the outside is quite a bit more durable, so it's a higher abrasive, and they do have this plastic overlays in just strategically placed spots where it would wear it out a slightly bit quicker. Very breathable upper, so it's definitely not a waterproof shoe. They do have those water drainage holes in there, so if you are kind of doing those creek crossings and want something to drain quite quickly and still be very breathable, most of your Gore-Tex shoes, even if they are kind of at that heel cut, if you do get above your heel, your water's going to get in them, and since it is waterproof, it's just not going to get out. A lot better way to utilize that heel cut is just to make a very breathable upper and just have those water drainage holes underneath the foot. Very nicely dialed in upper. I would probably say this does fit true to size, if not a bit small, so I'd usually take that 11.5 and a 12 in your Sauconys. Been using quite a lot of those US 12s, and I actually did feel quite snug in these, even in a size 12. So if you are wearing that thicker sock, I would even suggest going a half size up, especially if you are in those colder climates, to just have a few more layers on. But yeah, definitely try it on. It runs either that true to size, or it'll even take a half size up in these. They're very nicely dialed in upper, nice and slim, and with removing that ISO system, you still got a lot of 3D printing going on here, so it's not going to break down over the life of the shoe compared to that mesh. They just got a better lock lace in these as well, so you do have your double lock lace. Doesn't matter which way you want to kind of tie it down in the shoe. You can utilize a few different lacing systems, a bit more variety when it comes to the lockdown over that midfoot, which just makes for a better fit overall. And they do also have that gaiter attachment just to the toe, so if you do want to utilize a gaiter into this, you can just hook it onto that forefoot. Very cushioned shoe, especially if you're doing those long miles. If you want a kind of that high cushion traveling shoe, this works great as well, but they are built as a running shoe for those higher mileage, higher cushion, and it's just a neutral shoe as well, so it's going to absorb any terrain you go over. Any part of that shoe will just absorb it nicely, and you're just not going to get off kilter and kind of lose your balance. It just will absorb it instead of doing that. In comparisons to the Xodus 3, we don't have one here, but they have dropped a lot in weight just because that PWRrun was quite heavy as a midsole. I'm pretty sure they've kind of dropped 50 grams out of it, so they've taken a lot of weight out of the midsole as well as the upper just to make for actually a better shoe. So, but if you do want that high cushion, high mileage trainer that actually does have a good bit of grip, it doesn't matter if you're going uphill or downhill. Usually if you go up, you got to come down, so this does work great in that regard. Yeah, coming in at $250 Australian, pretty sure it's around that 330 grams. This makes for that great shoe no matter what terrain. That's if it's off-road. Anyways, if you want us to review this against any other trail shoes, let us know. We'll probably do something like the Speedgo or the Stinson as far as the Hoka goes. Hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell, hit the like if you gain any information over this video, and we'll see you in another one. Peace.
In the Middle East.